Hola, hola, amigas. Thank you so much for being here for this episode of Modern Latina in Midlife. I have such a treat for you today. I have this guest joining us to just share with her amazing story and just how beautiful she is living her life. She is 78 years old and just has lived a full life, but is still living a full, vibrant life. And when I read her bio and her story, I just knew I wanted to bring her on to inspire you all, hopefully, and, getting you to just really see the power of setting intentions and just living a full, vibrant life. So, let me tell you a little bit about her. A fashion rule breaker with millions of loyal fans, the charismatic pearl haired queen of jeans, Diane Gilman is 78 years young and embracing aging instead of fighting it. An inspiration for women embracing their third act, Diane is the top tele-retailing brand globally who is just getting started. And not unlike many women's stories, recognition for Diane came later in life with the launch of her DG2 Jeans line on HSN, which has become the top tele-retailing brand globally. Over $100 million a year in retail sales domestically, could be seen on QVC UK, Italy, France, Australia, and Canada. Her latest book, Too Young to Be Old, is another compelling take on conquering life's challenges and harnessing one's own power to live a third act filled with dream catching and fulfillment. After 30 years of experience in front of the camera, connecting with the baby boomer audience on television, Diane has set out to become a pro-aging advocate and a silver-haired influencer. Through social media, YouTube, and the launch of her podcast, Too Young to Be Old, Diane's goal is to educate and inspire the 50-plus community in a range of lifestyle topics such as nutrition, health and wellness, fashion, beauty and skincare, and any other topics covering aging solutions. I hope that you find inspiration to live your dreams, to create big goals and dreams for this next third chapter of your life. Diane is truly a great inspiration. So let's welcome her.
Right.
You look fabulous, as always.
Thank
Oh,
you.
look at that. I feel like I should have dressed up more.
No. The hair is very, hair was always my calling card and my defense to the world. And when I got breast cancer and had to lose it all, shave it all off, oh my God, the trauma. But when it came back, I just thought to myself, I don't want all those dyes and chemicals next to my brain. I'm going to give it a chance. And if I really am going to do something in the pro-aging community, I should be authentic. So my hair is now my calling card once again, although I will say, and don't quote me, I did a podcast Wednesday, and the guy kept saying to the audience, now, don't let her hair fool you. Like, don't think she's dumb and old because she has white hair. I kept saying, I like my hair.
Yeah.
What's wrong with white hair?
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Like, excuse me, but my platform is fighting ageism, and so is yours, right?
Yes, absolutely. My platform is, so thank you so much for agreeing to be here. I really appreciate your time and giving to our community, so that I don't take that for granted. But my platform it's about empowering women in this stage of midlife to live their best life. I feel
it is
so
tough.
many of my friends will be like, "Oh, it's too late. What's the point at this age to
How old?
change?"
How old are you?
Well,
What are
I'm
you
50.
talking about?
I'm
Okay.
51. So even women, even in their 40s,
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
what, it's too late to change now. I'm like, are you kidding me? We have decades ahead of us. Like, why are we going
And
to settle?
when I started my podcast, I thought the audience was all going to be in my range. Let's say 68 to 7. I'm 78 now. But no, it's actually a 25 to 50, 55-year-old audience that says, that woman looks like she's doing it correctly. That old line out of Harry Meets Sally. I'll have what she's having.
Love
So
that.
I find that when I retired for approximately 4.5 weeks, um, I joined women's clubs with women my age, thinking, oh, it's going to be great companionship, great fun. No, they've
No.
all given up.
Yeah.
They don't see any
Yeah.
way out,
Yeah.
and it blows. And I'm a freak to them. I'm an anomaly.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
I think that we are in the right place at the right time.
Your energy is amazing, and I can't wait to get more into your story. So, Diane, thank you so much for being here. And, the conversation we've already had is part of this episode, and it's been a lovely exchange of energies already. But I'd love if you could share with the audience a little bit about your story and where you've been and how you landed in this place of being this inspiration for us women in midlife and even younger.
Well, let's just say that there are some people that are born to do something, and even as a toddler, I knew that it didn't even make logical sense to me, but I knew I wanted to be in fashion. Now, I was born the day after World War II ended, so you have to know
Wow.
there were really no women
Yeah.
in fashion. Everything was Dior and
Mm-hmm.
Yves Saint Laurent, and there was no presence. So that made no sense. Then my mother had been, we came from, I'm first generation American. So my parents are from Russia, my father, Ukraine, my mother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Came over. My grandfather was a contractor and he got into real estate. So my mother was a debutante when she was a teenager, Jewish debutante in Maine, and they lived in this gigantic mansion. And 1929 hit, and it was turned into a transient boarding house. My mother became the maid. My grandmother became the cook. My grandfather became the handyman. So she went from sort of a Cinderella life to a Cinderella life in the attic. Therefore, she never wanted me to work. And because she had to sew by hand all her 7 brothers' clothes, because they couldn't afford to go out and buy clothes during the Depression, and she had to help my grandmother cook meals for the transient men who came through the boarding house, which was a family mansion. She never taught me to cook. She would scream at me if I walked into the kitchen. She absolutely disallowed me from ever learning how to sew. And here was this poor little girl, me, and all I wanted in life was to learn how to sew, to learn a craft. And even before the word career girl was ever put out there, I knew I wanted to work. I didn't even play with dolls. I just took them and I would take my friends' dolls and I would create little wardrobes for them and sew them all by hand. So there was a lot of stress in my house over the fact that I didn't want to fit into a societal mold. And part of it was safety, like they had faced starving to death. The Depression was not a joke. Here I am born into post-war booming economy. So, I'm American, I'm first generation, nothing could go wrong, right? And it all came to a head in college. I actually found out when I was 52 that I had gotten a 4-year scholarship to the Sorbonne in Paris, and my parents burnt up the
Wow.
acceptance letter. Yeah, my French teacher turned it in for me in high school because they didn't want me going to Europe, because they equated Europe with Hitler. So I was born to older parents. My mother was 45 when she had me. Very complicated birth. And within a couple of years, she was rushed to the hospital, full hysterectomy, and plowed right into menopause and turned into a very, very unhappy, volatile woman. And I thought to myself, that's not going to happen to me. So even at a very young age, I already had an awareness that aging as a female was difficult.
Yeah.
And there was no such thing as hormone replacement therapy back then. But I just knew I had to do it differently. And unlike most little girls, from the time I was like 4 or 5 years old, it was on my mind, because I watched my mother turn into like a chronically, deeply depressed, deeply dissatisfied female.
Wow. That's a very young age to have that kind of awareness.
Imagery, right? And not really know what to do with it. Power of intention. So somewhere along the way, I must have been about 9 years old. We're in a supermarket, not a supermarket, there were no supermarkets, a market, and there's a rack with magazines, and it was when 17 magazine, like Life magazine, they were all gigantic. It was really almost pre-television. And I saw Colleen Corby, teenage model, weekend in New York, on Fifth Avenue, by the Empire State Building, and I said to my mother, see that? I'm going to live there. Only I'm not going to be a famous model. I'm going to be a famous fashion designer. And I'm going to live on Fifth Avenue, which I do. And I'm going to live right next to the Empire State Building. And actually, my last apartment, honest to God, with no intentional placement, it just was an apartment I wanted to live in, was catty corner to the Empire State Building.
Yeah, so I love it.
When you talk about somebody living out their dreams and constantly, I felt like I was always paving the road ahead of me to get where I wanted to go, no matter what the obstructions were. So the only place they would let me go to college was UCLA. I didn't want to go there. There was no fashion curriculum. But there was a constant party going on. And I made friends with a woman named Rosanna Norton, and we started a little boutique called I'm a Hog for You, Baby, because we believed that was the first rock and roll song ever recorded. And it was across the street from Cantor's Delicatessen, which was a celebrity hangout for destructive heart attack Jewish food. And one day, a Rolls Royce pulled up, a beautiful white Rolls Royce. Out came Sonny Bono screaming at Cher, I'm getting a pastrami on rye. What do you want? She's like, nothing. She sees our little store. She decides to get out of the Rolls and come in. We sewed all our own dresses, $10 each at retail. And they were like little mod A-line dresses. And she screamed for Sonny and the chauffeur to come in, and they took every rack. They took everything. So that was awesome. My first little taste of success. And then because Rosanna, her boyfriend just happened to be Jim Morrison from The Doors. And we met Steven Spielberg, and she wound up designing the costumes for the original
Oh,
Carrie
wow.
movie, the original Dress to Kill.
Oh,
She
it's
likes
amazing.
stage costume stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I started dressing rock and roll stars, hand
Mm-hmm.
painting,
Mm-hmm.
slashing, jeweling, patching,
Love
bleaching
it.
their jeans, their jean
Oh,
jackets.
that's
One
so
night,
fun.
my boyfriend, I must have been a sophomore at UCLA. My boyfriend was a record agent for
Mm,
RCA.
mm,
Called me up at the sorority house, which I hated,
mm.
but at least it got me out of the house, and said, I want you to meet me on the Sunset Strip at the Whiskey A Go Go tonight. I said, don't be stupid. It's Monday night. They're dark. They're closed. He said, not tonight. Special night. Don't ask too many questions. Just dress groovy and meet me there. So I figure out a way to open a window in the sorority house kitchen and kind of catapult
Sneak out.
myself out, get up to the Sunset Strip. He's by the door of the whiskey, and there must have been maximum about 20 record agents and their girlfriends in there. We were right next to the stage. I mean, 1 foot
Mm-hmm.
from a little elevated stage. Out walks an insane woman with giant red hair and a bottle of Southern Comfort, and it's Janis Joplin. And
Oh,
it's her first
yes.
audition.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and it was so powerful. It was so
That's amazing.
amazing. And afterwards, my boyfriend is talking to her about RCA Records, and she says, oh, hey, man, your old lady's got on a groovy jean jacket. I had like my best hand painted,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
jeweled, and
Yeah.
I just took it off and said,
Here we go.
and that was what the industry was like then.
Mm-hmm.
So I did denim for Rod Stewart, for Janis Joplin, for Jimi Hendrix, for Sly and the Family Stone, for Deep Purple, for
Wow.
I was always at the outer ring
Yeah. Oh,
of
so exciting.
celebrity. Yeah.
So
And
fun.
then I moved from LA, followed the music scene up to San Francisco, had lived in half a brownstone next to the Gracie Slick's mansion. So it was, party central all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I woke up and said, you know what? You're like 26 years old. Party cannot go on forever.
Yeah.
You want to be a designer? There's only one place to do that, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Had enough money to buy an airline ticket, knew one person in New York, a guy who I actually wound up living with for 10 years. And I got on that airplane and I came back. I believed in my talent.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else did.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't understand is, and it's true for my television career on QVC HSN as it was for my fashion career, until you show them the money and you show them that you are a living, breathing, walking generator of money, talent is ephemeral. It's amazing to me in industries that depend on talent, they so don't believe in talent.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Yeah.
see it in the entertainment industry all the time, where
Yeah.
there may be someone less attractive who is a hell of an actress, but the one with the great body and the great hair is going to win every time, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
nobody would hire me. I knocked on 1,000 doors. Again, power of intention.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get a night job working at Andy Warhol's favorite hangout, Max's Kansas City. And actually, I met the Rolling Stones there. And then they were in and out of my life for a long time by other people. Yeah, with other people I knew. And in the daytime, I applied for a job at Bloomingdale's and I got a job in the old ladies' girdle department. I mean, seriously, could that be further away from my goals?
Right.
But and bullet bras too,
Mhm.
way
Oh,
before
wow.
Madonna made them famous.
Wow.
So this is about 1973, 74. I recognized the fashion coordinator walking across the floor of Bloomingdale's second floor one day, and I rushed up to her and said, "Hi, I'm a designer." She's like, "Oh yeah, another one. I'd like to show you my little collection," which I went and sewed every night. I even did my own quilting to make little quilted bomber jackets. Well, she said, "Okay, like I've got 15 minutes in about 2 months from now." Okay, I showed up. She went crazy.
Oh,
They
wow.
bought $100,000 worth of product, and I
Wow.
burst out in tears and said, "I can't afford it. I can't make all of this
Right.
product. I don't
Right.
have the money." I thought they were going to order like 3 of each or
Yeah.
something. No,
Yeah.
they're ordering like 300,
Uh-huh.
3,000 of some
Right.
stuff. There was a company at the time that really believed in talent, and I give them so much credit for backing up what they believed in. They funded me totally. They paid for the fabric, they
I
paid
love
for the
it.
labor, they paid for the shipping, and they gave me week after week New York Times double trunk Sunday ads introducing me to the
Wow,
world.
that's
That was,
amazing.
yeah.
So Bloomingdale's funded it all?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought it
Oh,
was like a separate
I had
company, like a
no partners.
manufacturer.
I had no
Oh,
partners. Nobody wanted to know about me. After that,
perfect.
people wanted to
Got
know
it.
about
Got
me,
it.
but
Oh, it's
I was
amazing.
always underfunded. I had no family support. I had no financial support. But I proved myself, and I could make $1 million items. And we had something called the Cabal. That was the name of our company, Cabal shirt, and we sold millions of them. It
Oh,
was like a prairie shirt during the whole prairie thing
okay.
that was
Okay.
going on in the
Uh-huh.
late 70s. And then somebody came to me one day and said, "Close your eyes, and I'm going to put something in your hand." And I thought, "Oh, that doesn't sound good." And I said, "What is this?" So I said, "Suede? Buckskin suede?" "No, washable silk." I said, "Don't be stupid. You can't wash silk." And they said, "Now you can." So I
Oh, wow.
introduced washable silk to America. And what silk takes very well to printing and
Mm-hmm.
keeping natural fibers like silk keep color true. So I would do my own hand painting, and we transferred to silk screens, and it
Wow.
was huge, huge,
Wow.
huge
How
success.
did you, I mean, how did you learn to sew? Because your mother didn't teach you.
You're
And
not even going to believe this, but it's true. It is not a made up story. I came from a kind of a violent household too. I kind of overlook that sometimes. My mother, because she had the depression, had not only depressed, but the depression of 29, had a Singer sewing machine to patch her nylons and her girdles. She put it in the hallway closet. I would wait until they went to sleep. I would tiptoe, drag it out. Little me at like 8 years old, 9 years old, put it under my bed, use one hand as the foot pedal,
Oh,
the
gosh.
other hand to guide things. And I taught myself how to make patterns, the
Wow.
power of intention.
Intention.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
throughout my career, when I couldn't find something as a reference point, I had trained myself to be a pattern maker. I could make my own patterns.
Wow.
So
Wow. That's
we're
awesome.
chugging right along there. And now it's the late 80s going into the very early 90s. And I have my name up in every department store in America for washable silk.
Mhm.
We are the number one Missy contemporary for
Mhm.
40-year-old plus women
Mhm.
brand.
Mhm.
And there's one slight problem. They're
Mm.
not really paying me. I've now teamed up with a very powerful Hong Kong consortium who want to take my name public on the Hang Seng Index.
Mhm.
And the only way I can stop them from doing that is to sue them, because I know
Mhm.
I'm not going to benefit financially.
Mhm. Mhm.
Disaster. Oh my
Mm.
God. Huh.
Mm.
Giant legal bills every month,
I
and
can
I can't
imagine.
work, and they're furious at me. They want to kill me rather than just pay me. There was a simple solution, and I'm just about broke, and I'm just about ready to think I'll never be able to work again, and a phone rings. This was when we had phones, not cells, not smartphones. And I'm like, hello? Is this Diane Gilman? And I'm thinking, who are you? Someone sent by the people that are suing
Yeah,
me. And
the
I
Hong
said,
Kong people.
yeah. She said, hi, talent scout from QVC. And we'd like to put you on air and have you design your own collection for television. And I said, well, you're about 2
Wow.
years too late. I can't use my name. So
Ugh.
there's that. And she said, oh, we have a lot of other designers like you who are in lawsuits. That's no problem. We'll just call you Diane.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
how I got
Wow.
TV.
That's
So
amazing. I mean, does that happen? Like just
how
QVC calling
amazing was
people?
that? How
That's
amazing was
awesome.
that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, you set that
So
intention pretty early on in life. So you've had
I
this
did
intention
not
out there.
like my self-image. I did not, I mean, there's no photographs of me as a youth. I never wanted to be photographed. I always wanted to be in the background. I had no choice now.
Mm-hmm.
And I went on TV and it was pretty successful. But washable silk was not something I ever wanted to wear. I was a blue jean baby. I was the cool
Mm-hmm.
girl on the block, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're chugging along on TV, but I am designing from a great distance. I'm always figuring out what other women would want to wear. I'm never
Mm-hmm.
wearing my own clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the man that I spent 20 years with was diagnosed with cancer and passed away.
I'm so
Terrible.
sorry. So sorry to hear
And
that.
yeah, it was really tough. And I shot up to 200 pounds
Mm-hmm.
and couldn't wear anything and felt like a big old middle-aged blob. I was now about 53, 54 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm feeling horrible, and I have to realize that I've got to figure out why I'm eating and stop it immediately. And along the way, there is nothing I want to wear. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
wear sloppy, gigantic, oversized mama bubba clothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go out and find a pair of jeans that fit me. And I'm losing the weight, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
losing the weight. I'm not tiny by any means, but I'm not 200 pounds anymore at
Mm-hmm.
5'5".
Mm-hmm.
I go on a mission every
Mm-hmm.
weekend. I go to category killer denim stores. There isn't one jean meant for a
Mm-hmm.
middle-aged body, not
Mm-hmm.
one. I'm
I believe it.
getting crazier, and I'm getting angrier, and I'm getting more resentful, and I'm thinking, hey, wait a minute. I've still got a big part of my life left to live. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to be invisible. I don't want
Right.
to be discarded. I don't want to be disposable. And when I need the most help looking good, there's no help at all. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought, you're a designer. Go down to Orchard Street, where all the remnant stores for fabric are.
Mm-hmm.
Buy 3 yards of stretch denim.
And
take
do
your
it.
own measurements, make a jean pattern, and make your own jeans. So
Yeah.
originally, I was just doing it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I did it. I was back in a jean again. I had nothing like an industry standard body, where if you
Right.
had 35-inch hips, you would have a 21-inch,
Right.
22-inch waist. That's absurd. I had a
Right. At
33-inch
this
waist
age.
and 35.5-inch hips
Mm-hmm.
and a stomach and a shelf butt and everything that comes with middle age, the spare
Right.
tire around the
I hear
middle.
you.
I wore the jean and it changed my life. It was revolutionary in my life. People started treating me like I was interesting again, like I was sexy, like I was hip, like
And
even
this
like I
is
was more intelligent, like they wanted to hang out with me. And I
so this
thought,
is simply from
okay,
wearing the jeans. This isn't like you were selling them or
wait,
marketing them
wait,
yet.
wait. So in the meantime, we get at my television network, QVC HSN, a female CEO who is young enough to appreciate jeans and was there and developed polo jeans with Ralph Lauren. So I bring
Oh.
the idea to her. Look at the
Oh.
demographic of our audience. They're all
Yes.
55 plus.
Yes.
They're imperfect, just like me. They want to
Mm-hmm.
look hip and sexy,
Mm-hmm.
just like me. Give me a chance. Please, please, please give me a chance. She said, well, we've tried jeans on air and they've never sold it. I said, yeah, because you keep
Yeah.
getting washed up soap opera stars
Yes.
who have a 25-inch hip
Yeah.
measurement and no one can relate to it. I
Nobody
said,
resonates with
give
that.
me, give me, give me, give me, give me a
Mm-hmm.
chance. So she said, okay, but not in prime time. So
Mm-hmm.
I got Sunday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with a host who was a 3 or 4X and was crying and screaming at me. I hate jeans. I'm never gonna wear a pair of
Oh my
jeans. And
goodness.
she's supposed to wear. She's
She's
supposed to
supposed to
be
wear
in
them.
the Prada. It didn't matter. 1 hour to sell 5,000 jeans. We sold them in 3 minutes, and we had nothing left to do for the rest of the hour. But
Oh
that
my
told me,
goodness. There is the
again, power
market.
of intention. I
Mm-hmm.
really believed in my heart of
Mm-hmm.
hearts. If it
Yes.
did that much for me to have a jean for a
Yes.
middle-aged body, it would for so many women. So that
Yeah.
was about 2011. And to date, we've sold 21 million jeans
That's
In
amazing.
America alone. But when I saw that all of us, rich, poor, Hispanic, Russian, Ukrainian, African American, we all share a
Yeah.
commonality of
Yes.
hormones and hormonal
Exactly.
changes. I
Exactly.
said to myself, why are we losing money off the table
Yeah.
just doing this in America? So I went to QVC CEO and I said, you have a developed international business. Give me a chance. I was like a little puppy. She said, okay, we'll try you in the UK. I wanted to go to a country where I at least spoke the same
Right.
language.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
First show, shot straight up to
Wow.
#1 in
Okay.
fashion. And it went everywhere, all through Europe.
I bet it did. I mean, that the thought of being able to wear jeans that are flattering at this age, it's such a
And
struggle.
we sewed the waistband in a special way where the waistband alone had 8 to 9 inches of stretch.
I love
So if you had skinny legs and a big waist,
it. Or you had a
get
big
into
meal or
it.
Thanksgiving, it grew with you.
Oh, please,
Okay.
yeah.
Tell me these jeans are still on the market.
They are, but I and this is really part of your whole ethos. And in some ways it actually was lucky. I contracted breast cancer. I was diagnosed Christmas Eve of 2017. Believe me, what I learned from breast cancer set me up for the rest of my life. I learned bits of wisdom and compassion and empathy I would have never, ever been able to get a hold of and incorporate any other way. It's a great teacher.
Oh, well,
It's a great leveler.
Thank you for sharing that. Is that
when I did that and I came back, I had to tell the audience I would be gone for a year. My new job was saving my life, but I would be back. When I came back, 9-10 weeks later, COVID hit. Studios closed down. We started working from home the way I'm working with you. And when they wanted us back again, I just thought, chemo did a lot, really did a number on my body. And do I really want to do that anymore? And I sold my name and I sold the company, but I went on working. But they wanted to do it their way. They didn't want me designing anymore. And they wanted a 20 to 30-year-old customer. They didn't want.
Well, that defeats the whole purpose.
Well, yeah, kinda. So I decided that it was time to understand who I was in this post-cancer 77-year-old period of my life. And I thought, what was I when I was young? Because for one of my podcasts on my 78th birthday, which was August, I did conversations with my younger self. What I would tell my younger self now, looking back through the tunnel of time.
Can you share some of that with us, please?
Well, I thought position where I could stay here the rest of my life. I'm number one in fashion on tele-retail, even though tele-retail as an entity is diminishing, as is cable TV. I'm earning a phenomenal living, and I'm fucking bored to death. I wasn't this way when I was young. I took chances. I wanted to make every single minute of my life heart-pounding and count. And what's happened to me? No, I can't be this non-courageous person anymore. So I decided, I said, sayonara, hasta la vista. I'm leaving. I had no idea what I was leaving for, but I knew, once again, power of intention. I also said to myself, looking back to my younger self, that television taught me to be a great communicator. And so couldn't I have my own podcast and take my message? My sell on TV was so different from everybody else's. It was emotional because for me to get back into those jeans again and reconnect to my youthful self was so emotional. So I thought, let's do a podcast for women over 55. Let's be totally informational. I always say we're informational, inspirational, aspirational, and conversational.
Yes. Oh my goodness, I love this. And that's at the age of 77, you started your podcast? That's amazing. Like you just don't hear that very much. And that's what I love.
Everybody should. We discount this point in our life. And I think that one of the things I have to say is, if you face, and most of us will have by the age of 77 or 78, a mortality-based disease like cancer or heart disease or whatever, I could name a zillion of them.
Right.
You have two choices. You can either think to yourself, oh my God, this part of my life just totally downhill, throw away, or you can think, these are the precious moments, and I am here for a purpose.
Oh,
What is that purpose? My
yes.
purpose is to teach my baby boomer sisters
Mm-hmm.
that life is so exquisite and
Mm-hmm.
beautiful
Mm-hmm. And
at any age.
And don't you feel that well, for me, it feels like at midlife, like at this age when I've reached like 49, 50, I'm 51 now, I felt like now I'm starting to live my purpose, like now I'm like
Yeah.
finding myself. But you seem to have lived a very rich and just super vibrant life your entire life. What do you think about that? Like reaching midlife, do you see that
Oh,
people?
well, look when my giant light bulb moment came to me. 59 and a half years old.
And
That's midlife. That was when I invented the DG2
the
jean.
jeans.
And I
Okay.
went from being a good designer to being a fashion genius. Because
Oh
I
my
came
God,
up
I
with
love this.
something so unique. And then after that, I thought, well, and then we went all over the world, Australia, Toronto, Canada, Germany, France, Italy, UK. And then after that, I thought, then wait a minute. Where's the problem in your body? It's around my torso. It's huge. So I designed a top that truly hid your torso, and then that started selling in the millions.
Oh, wow. That I
So
did not know.
so much of my female power came to me at the age of 60 and beyond.
Wow.
That
I love to hear this.
how can I discount middle age? And believe me, I was into youth obsessed industries, television, entertainment. And I'm sorry, Mr. Fuzzy, my cat he's always jealous of the podcast.
It's okay.
So he starts screaming. And fashion. And everybody in my field who I had known had aged out of fashion years before me. And I'm just like plodding along thinking, is it ever gonna happen? Am I ever going to have that arc? And it was completely improbable. Nobody in middle age has that. Everything is so fast fashion, youth obsessed.
So
But
what
I
kept you
did.
going? What kept you going at that point to think? What was your inspiration to not feel like giving up?
designing. I loved designing, and I felt I hadn't hit my true goals yet.
Oh,
And
okay. Yeah.
that's how I felt about it. I hadn't hit my true goals. And then the thing I liked about doing podcasts and being on social media was you don't have a million corporate layers, because corporate is very ageistic and they want you out by the time you're 55 max.
Absolutely.
And if I had a vision, just like I did with my baby boomer middle-aged jean, you could tell me no, and I could go right ahead and do it. Because I will tell you, I took that jean to a lot of people before I turned around and took it to the CEO of my network, HSN. And I will quote you, my business partner at the time said, who the hell wants to see fat old chicks in jeans, tight jeans? And I'm looking at him with a giant beer belly and thinking, who wants to see you with a pair of pants where your belly hangs out over your belt? And yet women have such a difficult time aging. There is so much judgmental nature to how we naturally accrue imperfections. And I was out to stop that. So I did it first through fashion and now through intention and presence.
Oh, okay. I love that. So so hitting midlife, what would you say was your biggest challenge in hitting midlife when you reached that age?
I think there are 4 stages in life. And so you're a child, and then you, as a female, you get your period, and it's a whole different ball game, and sex is involved. And then I would say around 45 or 50. And when I hit that, they had just started with estrogen hormone therapy, which I took for about 20 years too long. And frankly, it's why I got cancer. But you're looking at a stranger in the mirror. You're looking at someone going through menopause or right after it, and nobody talked about it at that time either.
No.
Oh,
No.
no. Saying, who is this overweight, wrinkled, kind of sad sack, droopy woman? It can't be me. Well, it was. So now you have to get to that and trying to figure out how are you going to negotiate that, especially if you're in front of a camera all the time, the way I was. Your customer, I guarantee you, and you see it all the time in Hollywood and television, customer does not want to see you age. They want to see you as a paradigm of perfection.
Yes.
So
yes,
that's
so
number
true.
one. Yeah, that's a big challenge. And then when I came out of cancer, and I thought, you know what? I'm not dyeing my hair again. I'm not pretending I'm someone I'm not. I'm going to be authentically the best 77-year-old anyone's ever seen. And I'm going to lead a whole sisterhood of my fan base and women from around the world who want to age better, age more gracefully, age more joyously, do it differently. And here I am. And can I tell you, it was the best move I ever made, to just say it's
just
boring.
No longer dyeing your hair.
Everything, just deciding to go to a more modern medium, which is social media and podcasting, and not dyeing my hair. You know, that's still tough. I guarantee you, if I'm in a restaurant, there could be 10 other women my age. They're all still dyeing their hair.
Right. And so when you had cancer in 2017, so you were already in your 70s when you finally decided to go silver. So prior to that, you were dyeing your hair still.
Oh yeah, it was great. And I had super long, super big, dark auburn hair. My hair was a big signature. And so I was diagnosed Christmas Eve of 2017, went through treatment to 18, kind of into 2019, then COVID hit. And then you really, honestly, you couldn't get your hair dyed unless you did it yourself, which I was never going to be able to do. So decided to make it a signature. I decided to make it appealing and to be encouraging about it, because you aren't fooling anybody. And most women dye their hair and then they don't want to go every 9 or 10 days. My hair grew so fast. I would have to go every 7 to 9 days and get it dyed again.
Yeah.
It was
like
exhausting.
Every 2 weeks trying to keep up with the roots from sneaking up, you know.
And then if you're dyeing your hair red and you've got those white roots, it's so tacky looking. You know what? I don't blame anybody as a female for wanting to dye their hair, because ageism is so rampant in our society. But if somebody doesn't say, hey, I'm here, I'm standing tall, and I'm proud, and I'm making the most out of it, and and you know, it's kind of fun. I work on my look every day. How do I want to style it? And right now it's very big and very 70s. And how do I do makeup to go along with that look? And how do I dress? And so everything is different, but you can make a game out of it. You
Yeah.
can make
It
it
can be
something
fun.
that's fun. Yeah.
So how do we change this narrative of sexism? Is it just showing up? I mean, how do we change this narrative? It's more than just one of us. It's like, it's so ingrained in our society.
It is, but you've got two things working for you. And I don't ever like to get political, and don't ever get me started. But
Mhm.
with the rescindance of Roe versus Wade, you have now got 40% of women between the ages of 25 and 40 saying, I'm not even going to get pregnant. I'm not going to have children. I'm not going to get into that. I live in a state where you're not even going to be able to get real medical care, real prenatal care, especially if you have a problem. So my generation, the baby boomer, is the biggest generation on earth. 20,000 of us turn 65 every day of the week in America.
Wow.
Astounding
Yeah.
statistics. We need our voice again.
Mhm.
We had the loudest voice when we were young, and then we all sort of split up, started our own little nuclear families, and then got silent. But I do not want to see age and adding years as a punishment. I want to see it as a profound gift.
Yeah.
And so all we can do is keep giving the message. And you really want to know the truth? Statistically, for most women, their 70s are the happiest years of their lives. It has been
Wow.
for me, even with
Really?
cancer in the
Oh,
way. Yeah.
that's amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
because I have friends. I have friends in their 60s and 70s. For whatever reason, I just seem to get along better with that age group. And they told me 50s was the best time of their life. And so I'm super excited to be in my 50s. 70, wow.
Statistically,
Yeah.
from studies done
Oh,
on attitude, your 70s are the best, the happiest years of your life. And yeah,
that's
there's
awesome.
a little, I'm not running a marathon anymore, and I've got a little bit of an ache here and a little bit of a pain there. But you know what? I'm able to get a message out. I'm respected for it. I'm loved for it. It's genuine. And cancer, and frankly, any condition that's that heavy duty, teaches you are so vulnerable to the doctors and the treatment that it really taught me how to open up my heart. I always walled myself off, and I had plenty of ammo to do that with as a fashion designer and being on TV.
Yeah.
But I get a different reaction from people now. I get tremendous positive reinforcement.
Awesome.
And you go, girl, and oh, this is so great. And so I'm actually having, I think, if not the happiest, pretty much close to it, time of my life, and feel I'm really useful and really purposeful, and that I'm doing something good for female humanity. And that's how you have to look at it. It's going to take a million of us putting out that message.
Right.
But I see so many women who hit, I would tell you what, if you are in an audience of 1,000 women and I come out on stage for a TED Talk, and my question is, hold up your hand if you're looking forward to aging. Maybe one would kind of, if I said, if you hold up your hand if you are terrified of aging, everybody would hold up their hand. But that terror is not doing you any good, and it's not going, you have to go for maximization. You should know by a certain age who you are, what you're good at. It's never too late to dream. So what are your dreams? and go beyond your children and your grandchildren. I mean,
Yeah.
so many women live their lives
Solely for that.
through, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I have friends at my age that already just looking forward to like the grandchildren, and that's beautiful. But I'm like, but we have so much more to do and to give. Like we have decades ahead of us. Like we're not just
yeah.
gonna watch grandchildren.
And what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
And do something meaningful, do something close to your heart. If you lead with your heart, you can never go wrong,
Oh,
ever.
I love that
Because
message.
people need that heart energy.
Yes.
There's so little of it in the world today. We are so
Mm-hmm.
closed off.
Yes, I
So
agree. Wow.
this is
This is
my advice.
beautiful. I love your message and the
Thank
energy
you.
that you bring. And when I read your bio, I was like, I wanted you on the podcast because this is the message that I'm trying to convey. And I'm hoping that by us sharing these stories, that we're reaching the generations to come as well, so that they reach this age already knowing okay what to expect and looking forward to it, creating this next best chapter with all the wisdom and experiences already that we've endured to this point. So I appreciate your story and sharing all this with us. But before we move on, I'd like for you to share about your book. You have a book, and share with us
You know
what.
what? And I actually have my camera on top of my book. So
Oh no.
here's what you need to do. I have my own YouTube channel and my own website and Instagram and TikTok
Yes.
and
And I
it's
will
all
link everything.
thank you. It's all thedianegilman.com.
Okay,
And my
perfect.
first book was called Good Genes, as in you think good genetics, which I do have, but also good genes. And then my second book, after when I was diagnosed on Christmas Eve, I made 2 phone calls. One to the doctor that made me go to the sonogram center and get the horrible diagnosis. And the second one was to a woman who had written a series of beautiful articles about me she was a senior editor of the Palm Beach Post. And I said, Jan, I have a horrible diagnosis for breast cancer. It's really not good, but I might just take the journey differently than other women. And I'm wondering if you want to come along with that journey. And she said, yes. And I said, so we're going to write a book as we go.
Oh, wow.
And Too Young to Be Old is just this. If you truly believe in yourself, you will always be too young in your head and your heart of hearts to ever be old.
Yes.
And it's a lot of my struggles in life. I had a life with a lot of barricades I had to break through. And it's a lot about my philosophy of aging, which is pretty unique and pretty different, but totally attainable. And it's a good read and a good ride along the way. It's a good book. I really love the book.
Oh,
Too
I
Young to
love
Be
that.
Old.
Thank you. I will link all your stuff in the show
Thank
notes and your
you.
book as
Thank
well.
you.
So one final piece of advice that you can share with the audience, what would that be?
You know, you and I were talking earlier, and we were talking about the fact that even at your age, and I'm 27 years older than you, but even at your age at 51, your friends, your acquaintances are saying, oh, I'm too old. You know what? I've got a battle cry. You're never too old. It's never too late. You're always at just the right age to dream and make your dreams come true. I really, 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 really believe that.
I really believe that as well. That is the message I'm always preaching on my social media. It's like, you're not too old. It really is.
And it's true.
Yeah. Do we really want to sit around and do the same thing we've been doing for the last 10 to 20 years for another 20 to 30?
No, when you've got talents and you've developed talents all the way through your youth to where you are right now. And I always say this, if I was a really young child and my parents still had cable TV, and I'm at a point where I'm so untechnical, I still have cable TV. And the commercials drive me crazy. And the commercials are all drug companies that portray women like me as old, and you're either playing golf or you're on a cruise and you have to take all these different drugs to stay alive. And
Yeah.
no, that is, as a kid, I would think to myself, if I was watching this, oh my God, I don't ever want to get old.
Right.
But as Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones said, life's a funny thing. No one wants to die young, but no one wants to grow old. So you know what? Find your alternative. No, you are not going to be 20 again or 30.
Right.
But what if you can be the best you in the moment you're in? And maybe you've had dreams of doing something, but you never had the time because you were raising the kids, or maybe now is the time to just
the time.
Put that little toe in the water and see if it's warm and welcoming. And we're not here. I believe we are not here by coincidence. We are all here for purpose. One purpose is to enjoy your life, but another purpose is to give back to those around you. And when I say those around you, I had a customer base of 700,000 women who supported me all through breast cancer, emailed me every day, really was an incredible sisterhood. Form a sisterhood around you. Help your sisterhood.
Yes. I love that. I 100% agree with everything you're saying. And thank you. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom, for your time, for giving to the community.
It's so much fun.
It's so much fun. Such a fun conversation. And thank you for breaking those barriers and those barricades and trying to create a path for those of us that are now walking those tracks that you did. And I am really looking forward to what the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years of my life will look like and what I can create. You are such an inspiration.
The power of intention.
Yes,
you'll
the power
create
of intention.
No doubt.
Thank you, Diane. It's been
you
so lovely.
Much.
Thank you so much for being here.